Everybody, welcome back. Here we are, week two, jumping back in with our talk about the sound relationship house. That for those who may have missed the first week, I'm going to do a brief recap, and then we'll get back into the material on the second level of the house. So Gottman likens a secure and healthy relationship to a house with a sound foundation and strong walls of commitment and trust, which he calls the sound relationship house. There's seven parts or levels to the house, which I started unpacking last week. I'm going to continue this week and 5 more weeks after this for a total of a 7 week series discussing how trauma can impact the skills needed to have a sound relationship house. So, again, we're on week two of 7. Today, we're going to go into the second level, nurturing a culture of fondness and admiration. So, as usual, just take a minute, get a pad of paper, something to write with. That way, you can write down some takeaways. And usually at the end, I give you a challenge for the week. So, friendship, which is the focus of the first 3 levels of the house, allows couples to weather all different kinds of storms. And with going back to school and all the challenges that go with that, and many other challenges, we all weather storms. So, we're going to take a deeper look at all this, looking through a trauma lens at some of the tasks of nurturing a culture of fondness and admiration so couples can navigate this more effectively. I'm just checking in on there. Okay. What I see in my practice and around me is that couples read information, different books, different articles, whether online or again from books that they have checked out or whatever they're reading, even from their church or friends. And what happens is when they run into problems of trying to implement these theories or techniques or strategies for improving fondness, admiration, love, connection, they start to wonder what's wrong. And what I help couples do is figure out what's running the show. When things go wrong, um, it's critical to a sound relationship house to you being the best version of yourself to know what is running the show. So, we talked last week about how some with a trauma history struggle with being vulnerable or being known. So, even the most benign questions can result in discomfort. And those questions were part of that love map, understanding your partner's world. So, this week, I want to look at how not only the 4 horsemen can ride in, but how to address what's called negative sentiment override when it takes over your view of your partner and why and how this can happen from a trauma perspective. So let's start with the love story first. This is one of my favorite levels because when couples come in and I do assessments, they usually have that negative view of each other. And a fun way to shift out of that and begin to remember why we like each other is to have couples look at their love story. And most of us would not even be married or in a committed relationship with our partner if we did not have some level of fondness, admiration, or respect for our partner. Deep down, despite our partner's flaws, we usually believe our partner is a good person. This belief is what Gottman refers to as the fondness and admiration system. Sometimes we just have to jumpstart that system again. Remember why you like each other again. And I know it seems simple, like common sense, but day to day it is often overlooked. Gottman says couples who nurture their fondness and admiration for one another are better able to accept each other's flaws and weaknesses and prevent them from threatening the relationship. Fondness and admiration protect against feelings of contempt for your spouse, which is a dangerous emotion that too many partners develop towards one another as the years go by. And on my Facebook page for Creekside Wellness, if you follow me, I do have some other posts in there and one yesterday about contempt. So let's bring in that trauma lens. What if you did not grow up in an environment where there was an opportunity to witness fondness and environment where you were criticized or mistakes were not allowed or even those mistakes were taken personally, where contempt was modeled. What if fondness and admiration came with strings attached or had an all or nothing pattern to it? You could go from hero to villain in a moment, sometimes not really understanding why. So, when that happens, survival skills begin to develop. Skills that helped back then but don't serve you now, and oftentimes get in the way in marital relationships and working through conflict. Many in these environments had to learn to scan for safety, often looking for the negative as a means to survive, learning to quickly take the emotional temperature of a situation as a means to, again, survive and figure out what was going on. That can be hard to turn off. And as a matter of fact, leaning into feelings of calm, security, and safety can feel scary or even unsafe. And I know some of you are like, what? What does that mean that safety can feel scary? But for folks with a trauma history, whether that be childhood or a recent trauma where you have overwhelmed your system, letting your guard down when you're used to surviving by keeping it up is scary, although necessary to a sound relationship house. But this is difficult for trauma survivors. Many say, but I, it happened at first. When we first got together, we were able to do that. We were able to talk well into the night. We were able to open up, share deep things about each other. So, what changed? So, let's go back to that love story. Romantic love, or what's called limerence, is what changed. It changed into the real love or reality, which includes a series of falling in and out of love. So let me recap that. There's romantic love, and then there's more of the reality of real love, which is a series of falling in and out of love with each other. So, in this romantic love state, I want you to think of that chemical that goes through the body in romantic love as a flaw blocking phase. Early on in a relationship, we see the good, we want things to work out. When a relationship is new, we tap into a powerful current of affection and attraction that makes it natural and easy to express appreciation for each other, to see the positive attributes, and we're less attuned to the negative during that phase. And this phase can vary in length from couple to couple, from situation to situation. So as the relationship continues and reality begins to set in, the negatives start to float in, the flaws. These things come more into the present. So what can that look like? You did not take out the trash. I can't stand how she does not put the cap on the toothpaste. We all joke about that one. You forgot whatever it is. He or she spends too much money. We start to look at the other side of the coin of attraction. And attachment needs get triggered. Those two questions, can I count on you? Are you going to be there for me? Begin to get triggered. For trauma survivors, this can trigger that safety scanning mechanism, looking for the negative, pursuing reassurance, or even withdrawing from that place of scanning and safety, that need for protection. So that withdrawal serves that purpose. And this can become a dance that occurs in the marriage, the pursue distance cycle. This trauma can come from big T traumas or little t traumas. I mean, let's be honest. If we look, we all have them. We like to think that that happens to somebody else, but a lot of us have some at least little t traumas where somebody bullied us, rejected us, we weren't included. I talk about a trauma lens because we all have them. We all have these raw spots that get triggered because we are all flawed humans with a history, a story that impacts the way we relate to each other. Knowing and owning our story is part of how we tap into the antidotes to the four horsemen. Knowing our story intellectually and emotionally, and more importantly, physically. How that story shows up in our body, how things feel and show up in our body is a positive tool to showing up in relationship and in the world in the way we want. Learning how to respond instead of reacting when triggered. Learning to lean into common safety, how to ground yourself even in the midst of normal mistakes and flaws of ourselves and our partners. I'm going to include posts this week, some I did yesterday and throughout the week, to explore this further. So please check back in on the page for Creekside Counseling and Wellness so that you can see some of these other posts about how to show appreciation specifically. I posted earlier today about that and some grounding and soothing techniques that I like to use with clients. So the hard truth, I always try to give you one, is that this is an ongoing process. This is not a one and done, check the box kind of thing. Relationships take work, and that is a myth that it should come easily. Our culture really does not reflect or support this in relationships. Romantic comedies can skew what we think love is, and social media often reflects the highlight reel of relationships. I want to remind you, why does it go well in a romantic movie? Because someone gives the actors and actresses a script. They have a map to have that romantic relationship. So let's look at how you can work on your own fondness and admiration script. Here's your homework or challenge. Write out your love story, how you met your partner, what you enjoy about each other, the ways you like showing up for your partner, and how you like how he or she showed up for you early on in the relationship. Sit down and share this with your partner, even pulling up old pictures. This helps you remember and tap in to that romantic love and why you like each other. In the day to day, we all need that. We do that with our kids. Sometimes our kids, if you have them, they can drive us crazy. And luckily, that smile or a memory from the past and how sweet they used to be keeps us from killing them, right? We remember how we like them. List each other's positive qualities and an example or incident of when that occurred. Share the list with each other. Choose to think positively and practice this daily. I know this seems simple, but this requires being intentional, disciplined. This simple task can go a long way in overcoming negativity and hopelessness in struggling marriages. Express appreciation and affection consistently. Give your partner a roadmap to successfully meeting your needs. And I have a lot of couples do this. Write out 5 to 10 positive requests that speak to the way you like to be loved, admired, and cherished in the relationship, and ask them to do the same. I will post again something this week about how to give you examples of how to write a positive request and how to share that with your partner. Remember, small things often. And if you get stuck, get help. We go to lawyers for help when we need legal assistance. We go to doctors when we're sick and we need a prescription. We go to our child's teacher when we need support for our child's education, a physical therapist to help with recovery from an injury. Don't you think it's time that we crush the stigma of seeing a therapist when we need relationship support, personal support? Isn't the health of your relationship or your own well being as important as other aspects of your health and well being? I challenge yourself to think about that and see how you show up in the world around that. Enjoy your week, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks so much. Bye.